Welcome into Mike Check, the podcast hosts become the podcast guests. I'm Vince Stover, here to dig into the personalities behind Belly Up Sports. Let's do a mic check today with the host of the Third and 10 podcast, Nathan Nguyen. Nathan, welcome to Mic Check. How are you, my friend?
Thank you, man. I'm excited. Good to see you, Vince, as always. Love your content overall, man. And I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to just get things going and just talk about, whatever's on our mind.
For sure, man. And I want to start by saying this. For whatever reason, at Belly Up Sports, everyone looks at you as the little brother. Like that's a positive thing. It's not a negative thing. But everybody, for whatever reason, everyone takes some pride when you do well, and you do well a lot. And everyone just kind of looks at Nate as the little brother of the company, and everybody loves Nate. I've never met anyone that doesn't like Nate. And man, just the stuff that you're doing right now, the content you got on your show, you're on some other shows too, the social media stuff that you're putting out, everything's absolutely incredible. And even though none of us have anything to do with it, we all take great pride in what you're doing there here in the network. So Nathan, I'm really excited to talk to you more, but I want to make sure you know how appreciated you are in the network. Everybody's really proud of you too. So
Thank you, Vince. It means a lot. Obviously, I joined the company about a year and a half, 2 years ago. And just being able to do more things, and whether it's for the Third and 10 podcast that I do with Brian, who I love to death. I'm so grateful for him. I really am. And the guys like Jared and Matt with the corner booth, they invited me on to work with them a year ago, and I'm thankful for them as well. And then obviously times like this when I get to work with you, Vince, or work with Kevin Wilson or just the other guys of the company. I just do what I can to the best of my ability, put in the effort every single day. And then, as long as it leads to good things for the company and for our shows, I'll continue to do whatever it takes. So it means a lot to hear that. And just thank you so much for your support as always, Vince.
yeah, man, for sure. So let's talk about a little bit about your show, the Third and 10 podcast. Before we get into the specifics of your
Yeah.
show, let's talk about what inspired you to start podcasting. Like, what was it that you got you to one day say, you know what, I'm going to do this thing that millions of other people are doing, but I'm going to do it, and whatever happens, it's going to be fun. So what got you started into actually hosting a show?
Yeah. So in college, I was originally going to major in nursing, and that did not work out whatsoever because I realized, what that came, studying anatomy and physiology, and I took some class, and I was just like, I don't think this is for me. So, I kind of thought to myself, like, okay, my life has always been centered around sports ever since I was young, falling in love with the New York Giants at the age of 7 and learning more about the sport of football throughout the years as I grew up. And then I realized, like, there is a career out there that, where I can go talk about sports, talk about what I know, and talk with other people about it, and get people's attention. And I always love, I know this sounds corny, but, waking up in the mornings and watching ESPN, seeing guys like Stephen A. Smith or Pat McAfee these days as well. They're doing what they're doing. I'm just like, okay, they talk about their love for the sport and different topics that are going on around the world. Why can't I do that? So I believe it was in 2020 during the COVID year, ironically, or I think it's 21 actually. Me and one of my good friends, his name is Casey White. We started our own little show, like once a week, nothing too serious. It was just for fun, but then I started to like fall in love with it a little bit more, and I'm just like, okay, maybe this is something that I can get going. And then I joined the Belly Up as a writer, was mainly a writer, and then I heard there was a podcast network, and I was like, okay, let's give this a try. And I tell you, Vince, the amount of changes that were made when I first joined Belly Up was insane. I don't think I came up with a set name or a set plan until like last year, the beginning of 24. Because there was just like so many name changes. The co-hosts were inconsistent. I mean, I love Casey to death, but our schedules didn't really line up as well as it should have. So I'm just like, what am I doing? And even I spoke with Mike and Blender, like, Nate, you gotta give us something. Like, we need stability, we need consistency. I'm just like, okay. So I took some time, and then I came up with a Third and 10. It's a football themed, type of phrase. Obviously, it's a football show that I mean, it's my first love, of course, football, that is. And then, yeah, I just took off from there. Found Brian, who is a fellow Giants fan, and it helps for content purposes. But to have a fellow Giants fan on and be able to talk ball with 2 times a week. It's super fun, and I'm grateful, and I think we developed consistency and also just having fun every single week talking about what we love. And I feel really just thankful for the opportunity to do so, because without Belly Up, I just wouldn't be able to do what I do successfully. So yeah.
Well, and I want to kind of dive in a little further into finding that niche of the Giants and football and things like that. Because back, I guess it would have been last year or year and a half ago or something. I came on your show. We talked baseball the whole time, and I love,
Yes.
I enjoy talking baseball. I was trying to remember what the name of the show was called back then. I can't remember what it was.
Oh man, me too. I think at one point it was called the Statistically Speaking podcast. Another one was the what was it? The Case and Nate show, I think was another after my former co-host
Yeah.
Casey. It was just so many names, Vince. I can't even think. That's how bad it was. Just so many
Right.
name changes, right? I was just like I no wonder they talked to me at one
Yeah.
point, the higher up. So I was just like, but
Well,
thankfully, yeah.
I'm interested because I kind of went through the same thing as far
Mhm.
as content goes. I didn't
Yeah.
necessarily go through the same thing with the name, but the content was constantly rolling over. For a while, I was doing UFC stuff, all kinds of baseball stuff, football stuff, trying to do everything at one. And eventually we got it narrowed down to just football.
Yeah.
And you've done similarly, of course, as well. And so, you found Brian, who's a Giants fan, and Brian's great. He's on the fantasy football show too, and I absolutely love working with Brian. But I guess, was it just the conversations with like Blaine and Mike, the co-founders of Belly Up? Was it other conversation? Was it something inside you that said, you know what, I'm going to go focus fully on football? You'll talk about some other things here and there, but the focus is going to be football, Jets, or not Jets, Giants, and football and stuff like that too. Like what ultimately got you narrowed down to that niche?
Definitely. I think the conversations with Mike and Blaine definitely helped as well. And also like just I taking some time to think it over, like, hey, what do you know best? And I know Giants football the best. Now, I've learned over the years not to be biased. I know growing up as a kid, I'm like, even during the years where we struggled, I was thinking to myself, like, oh, we're still gonna win the Super Bowl. We're gonna figure it out. But growing up, getting into the podcast business, I realized that we can't be that biased all the time, because obviously that doesn't lead to great content. However, um, I think just having the conversations with the higher ups, and finding a guy in Brian, and just really thinking over, like, hey, Giants football is what you're good at. Stick to that and go from there. And that has expanded a little bit more, of course, to the NFL as a whole. Having Brian on kind of helps out, because he gets to take kind of talk baseball with him, and of course with his Mets and whatnot. So our show does have variety, but what makes us work is the Giants content,
Yeah,
which thrives during football season, which ironically enough is just around the corner when the games actually count.
that's right.
Um, so yeah, I think just having the conversations, just really thinking it over, instead of just saying, "Oh, this doesn't work. Let's go to a different name, different ideas." Like, no, just stick to what you do best, and everything's gonna work out on its own. And it's just being able to just consistently get out content of that same topic that will lead to success in the future. And I think we've done that here on Third and 10 podcast, and we just gotta keep on going. And with the amount of headlines surrounding the Giants, I think it's gonna be plenty of content to come around with this team in the upcoming months. So I'm super excited. Just keep on going, and just keep going from there.
Yeah, because I always look at it, when I've talked to several people who are starting podcasts, and things like that, and they're asking just general advice, what have you learned, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that narrowing it down is so important, I think.
Yeah.
When I lived in Kentucky and I was covering EKU, that's where my biggest listenership came from, was
Yeah.
that singular focus. And I moved, so I'm not doing that anymore. And actually, got a co-host with me starting a podcast tonight. Will be his first live broadcast, and he's
Oh.
picking up the mantle down there at EKU for me. But I think, have you seen that, where once you got it a little bit more narrowed down, where your base of viewership started to grow more as a result of you being more narrow in the content that you're covering?
100%. I think because, being all over the place, so I was like, okay, it was fun to talk about different topics, but at the same time, it's like the fan base is like, okay, so what are you good at? Like, what do you really talk about? Like, what do you truly know about, for example, the NBA? Like,
Yeah.
are you really an NBA fan? Or are you just talking about just because it's going on?
Yep.
Right. And there were times, of course, during the NBA season last year where we did talk basketball a little bit, but it was like we kept it short,
Yeah.
because yes, it may have been interesting during that time, but I was straight up. I was like, look, I may not know much about it, but based off some research I looked into, I know this and that.
Yeah.
But it was the focus always shifted back to what we knew best, which was the gridiron. So
Yeah.
it's definitely helped. I think, especially with social media, the comments we get, the likes we get are football fans who chime in. I think recently we had a clip about what was it about? Oh, Anthony Richardson.
Mm.
We had a good conversation about that and how his struggles are kind of makes sense based off his stats in high school and whatnot. And the amount of attention that we know in the comment section, it was super fun because I was just like, I could. It was only like 100 likes, 32 comments, but at the same time, for me, I'm just like, dang, like imagine if we had a show that wasn't solely focused on football, maybe we wouldn't get this much attention. But
Yeah.
because we're so football based, we're getting comments from football fans and having them opinions, have themselves chime in, I should say. It
Yeah.
helps. So it only grows. And like you mentioned, just narrowing it down to just one singular topic or just singular sport as a main focus, it helps out so much. So who knew it'd be that easy, instead of going
Right.
all over the place. It's a simple fix that took a couple of years to figure out. But I'm a late bloomer, I guess, in terms of that. But
Yeah.
thankfully we figured it out for sure.
Has there ever been a moment you've been recording a show or doing a live stream
Yeah.
and you kind of sat there and thought, this is great content? Like
Oh
you ever had
yeah.
that moment where you're like, we've hit the nail on the head on this one?
I think one recent example was actually I think you were there as well, Vince, the Belly Up Draft Show, the
Yeah.
NFL Draft Show, and my love for Shooter Sanders was just beyond. Like, I think out of all the people on the Belly Up Network, I was that like top of the list in terms of how much faith and love I have for Shooter Sanders. And of course, when the Giants traded up, it wasn't even like on purpose. I was just like, I was so excited to see us possibly get Shooter when we traded up, and then when we got Jackson Dart, at the time my heart sunk, and you could see it in my face. And then, but everyone was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be good content to release," and I was just like, you know what? You got a point because there's so many Shadur supporters out there, but there's also so many Shadur haters.
Yeah.
And just the reaction of like, I didn't expect my face to react the way it did on camera. I was just so surprised and just so kind of sad inside. I was just like, that was my guy. That was one of my favorite quarterback prospect outside of Cam Ward, of course, to come out of the draft. So we got this guy named Jackson Dart, who coming out of college came with the struggle. I was like, I don't want no Jackson Dart. Like, no, I don't want him. And even on our show, too, on the 3rd and 10 show, I told Brian, I was like, Brian, man, I don't know. Like, sure, I have to be happy that we drafted Jackson Dart, but like, I want to Shooter Sanders. I talk so highly about him, and the arguments that we had, me and him, in regards to all this throughout the offseason was just so much fun. And I think that's one example of a topic that definitely hit. And after we record, I was just like, you know what? If we get a clip of this out, we're gonna
Yeah.
be okay. And surely enough, it did. I don't remember the exact statistics, but it definitely got some attention for sure.
Yeah. Let's find out a little bit more about you now.
Yeah.
So, when you're not podcasting, you talked about you started going to school for nursing. That did
Yes, sir.
not happen, which I feel you. I started in education, and that ended very quickly for kind of the same reason. I had to take classes to be a teacher that I didn't think that was necessary. I was like, I don't want to get into that. So that being said, when you're not podcasting, like what's a day in the life of Nathan Nguyen?
Yes, sir. So outside of podcasting, as you know, I love watching sports. So every time I'm not recording, I'm always getting myself into the sports world some way, somehow, whether it's watching random highlights
Mhm.
or just watching shows. But outside of the sports world in general, I don't go to school at the moment. I'm taking a break from school. I switched through a lot of majors throughout my years in college. From nursing to computer science what was another one? Oh, so journalism was another, of course. I'm taking a break right now due to some health issues. 2020 was such a crazy year for all of us. I did not get COVID, thankfully, but unfortunately, I did suffer a kind of I would describe it as a surprise injury of sorts. What's it called? I remember it was in late October of 2020. I had to go to the hospital, unfortunately, and I was diagnosed with something called a spinal AVM, which stands for spinal arterial venous malformation. There was something pressing against my spinal cord that to where I just lost feeling from my lower half of the body down to my feet, and that definitely changed my life for sure
Hmm.
at the time. So I got surgery to get the mass out of my spinal cord, but there was no promises that I'd be back to my my normal self. And that was a lot to take in for sure because the first 19 years of my life I was such an active person. I loved playing sports. I loved running around. Going to the gym, of course, like a lot of men and women do on on a daily basis. So I enjoy doing that, and to kind of have that taken away from you at the time, it definitely was not good to take in or to swallow per se.
Yeah.
But so since then, I've been on a recovery of sorts, finding different ways to get back to on my feet. And so these days when I'm not recording, I'm consistently going to physical therapy now in a nearby city, learning how to walk again, just exercising, walking around with this machine that I was thankful enough that my insurance accepted. We know about health insurance in this world, not the most stress free thing
Right.
whatsoever. But yeah, I'm thankful. I'm still learning the ropes. I'm still trying to get feeling back in the lower body down, and my therapy will definitely for sure help with that. Um, but yeah, otherwise, I'm just focusing on my physical health, Vince, and just
Yeah.
trying to consistently get better on a day to day basis. And obviously, the sports is it means a lot to me, but what matters most at this point in time is getting back to my normal self. And I think just focusing on that as well outside of podcasting is what I do. So of course I have my job and everything as a customer service representative for a sports app company. Um, some of you may or may not know Underdog. Um, Shout out to them, but otherwise, man, I'm just doing my thing and
Yeah.
improving my physical health on a day to day basis.
Yeah. And it's, you and I, we've known each other for a couple of years, but when I say know each other, it's always been through screen, right?
Yes.
So I went to the Fantasy Football Expo this year. I got to meet guys that I've been working with for 5 years, met them for the first time face to face. I guess shook their hands for the first time.
Yeah.
It's a weird way that we live in today's world, but in this business, in the belly up sports world, we know each other, we work together, all that kind of stuff, but we've never
Yeah.
been in the same room together. And those are the kind of things that we only see certain aspects. It's almost like social media. You only see what the person puts out there for you to see, like that. And I'll say that since I've known you, it's always been a smile on your face. And I think it's easy for us to, and I think it's smart for us when we're on air to look like we're enjoying life, and we are enjoying life. But there are things going on behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about us. And sometimes I would assume for you too, it's hard where you come down, you're having a conversation, a real life conversation of struggles, and then you come in and hit go live on the StreamYard or start recording, and now you got a smile on your face, and everything's good in the world and things like that too. I'm curious of, has that shaped even like your preparation and seriousness or lack of seriousness, not taking it too seriously with
Yeah.
what you're doing with sports talk, just because of real life has taught you?
Yeah, I think it's so important. Like you mentioned, the positivity, right? I think that just it matters a lot. With my injury, obviously it has its negatives, right? Obviously, I'm looking at everyone else around me, my friends, my family, and they're living their normal lives, right? And then there's me who kind of has to go through this on a daily basis. Like, I think that one of the toughest things I kind of deal with is getting up, right? And not to sound too negative, but when I get up, right, it's like everyone gets up and like literally stands up, goes to the restroom, and get ready for the day. For me, I sit up, I'm just like I look at myself and I see my wheelchair right there.
Mm.
It's a small compact wheelchair that I'm in while I'm learning how to walk in. But I look at it, I'm just like, dang, because it's just like I shouldn't be in this situation. I should be like just like everyone else, trying to get
Mm.
up and everything and like normally. And unfortunately, that's not the case at this time. But at the end of the day, I remind myself that hey, this isn't forever. I'm still 24, 25 years old. I still got plenty of life ahead. I'm still recovering. I'm still trying to get better. Why be so negative when it's not forever? You might as well
Yeah.
put a smile on your face. You have other things to look forward to help take your attention off of what you're going through. And I think like for our show, the Third and Ten podcast, we record on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And the nights before, there's times where I'm just like, I'm not feeling it. Like I may have moments where I'm not feeling too great or just want to go to bed and just forget about all the negative thoughts that are going on in my head. But then there's the thought in my head. No, how do I say this? There's the thought in my head that goes, "Hey, you got a show tomorrow. You're
Mm,
gonna be able to talk Giants ball. Brian's gonna be there on Thursdays. Hey, you got a show with the corner booth later in the day. Like you got things that you can focus on that can help you take your attention off things that you're gonna have fun doing.
yeah,
Just think about that." And then
yeah,
and then that's when I'm like, okay, cool. So I open up my laptop, go through my notes, go through research, all the different websites, all the different articles, and read through all of them, watch videos, and those help take my attention off what I go through. I
yeah,
think that's how essential sports is to me. Like, yes, we all love sports in our own way, but for me, it's not just something I love, but an escape because it
yep,
allows me to really just take my mind off the negative things in my life and just focus on things that I love. And I think that helps. That's why I have a smile on my face every time I go on shows, and that's why I enjoy doing what I do. That's why I love making content and sending it to the guys at the corner booth or sending it to Brian. Like, hey, let's post this right here, and just seeing the success that these clips have. It makes me happy because I'm just like I put the work in it, and not only that, but also doing making these clips helps take the attention off of other things going on in my life, and for that
for sure.
I keep saying it, but I'm just super thankful, man, and it
Yeah,
helps out a lot for sure.
that's awesome, man. Uh, what do you do? One of the things I like talking to hosts about
Yeah,
is because I can always learn something from other people and things like that. What does your prep before an episode look like? Like, what are you? Because some people that are new to podcasting, especially, or people who are miserable at podcasting, don't realize it takes work. Like it's not. You don't just turn on the camera and go.
for sure.
Especially in the sports talk world, you can't just turn on the camera and go. There, it takes work. So, what is your routine? What's your prep work as you're preparing for an episode? Your maybe even your interactions with Brian a little bit. Your co-host on how this is going to go. What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, great question. So with us recording on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and especially after our Thursday episode, it gives us what, a 3-4 day gap between our next episode, so our past episode and the next episode. So for me, I'm a big social media guy, as you know. My number one app is Twitter.
Yeah,
X, I guess they call it, but we're gonna call it Twitter because no one calls
thank
it
you.
X, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
See, you know it. So I love what I do now. I didn't do this before, but when it comes to like headlines that I see or rumors or trades, I always hit the bookmark button on
mm,
Twitter because I'm just like, okay, that's a great topic to possibly discuss on Tuesday. So from Friday through Monday morning, Monday afternoon, I go through my Twitter. And if there's any news that pops up during the day, I save it. And then Monday night, which is when I get to prep everything for my show specifically. The corner boot's a different story. So on Monday night, I look through all my bookmark tweets. I think about the videos I've seen throughout the week or headlines or whatnot, or watching Belly Up's channel and seeing what creators like you, Vince, or others have put out there. That way I know not to copy them. But it's hard to, especially with the division previews. Like we're all doing division
yep,
previews, so it's
yep,
like you don't have to do the same thing. But I look through them and I'm like, okay, let's talk about this because no one has really talked about it as much. Or oh, okay, the Giants, what's it called? Malik Neighbors is dealing with a back injury. We got to talk about that, or Andrew Thomas injury, or preseason cuts, or whatever the case may be, and kind of create a list of topics. And then I sent it to Brian like, hey, we're gonna talk about this tomorrow. Be ready, and whatnot. And then this is gonna sound really bad because I am a night owl to the max. My notes usually, because of my work schedule too, they don't start being populated till about maybe midnight of the day of the show,
yeah,
my time, because other priorities, work, because I work the night shift, so it's kind of is difficult a little bit. So I midnight of the day of the show, I get my notes rep, I type them up, I look through all the headlines, all the bookmark tweets, and all these notes, all the research I found, put it all in one little document, look over the document before I go to sleep, wake up, look through all of it again before the start of the show. And then it's lights, camera, action from there, as corny as that sounds. But I mean, look, and it sounds like, it may sound like I'm a little unprepared at times, but when we go back to the topic about narrowing it down to one topic, Giants football, I live and breathe it. So it's like,
right.
it's not like there's not going to be something I don't know about New York that even if I don't take notes about them, I'm still going to know about it because it's based off it's just, how do I say this? It's just photographic memory, I guess, maybe for lack
Mm.
of a better term. Like I just seeing all these news and headlines, it all goes through my head and just stays there after
Yeah.
reading all of them. So it doesn't require notes. But no, before every episode, I always have a Google Doc of the topics and the different research notes that I have that we talk about during the show. So definitely have learned to prepare better over the years instead of when I first began just saying things off the top of my head without any structure. Because without structure, it's just like, what are you really talking about? Like you have no structure. Like how we go from talking about the Giants uh to Caitlin Clark? Like what how? Like where was the transition, Nate? So definitely
Go
having
from
no.
the Giants to the giant of the women's basketball scene. See,
Yeah,
you can tie it in, Nate.
true, true, true. Well, maybe if I made a better transition, if I talked about
Right.
the time, maybe it'd be a different story. But you know me, I was not the organized person that I am these days for sure.
Yeah.
But
Well, and me and Brent were talking about this on the last Mike Check episode was when you're watching sports, like it changes the way you watch sports now that you're hosting, right?
oh
So
yeah,
how has it changed the way I've talked to a lot of fantasy football players about or players, fantasy football people about this.
yeah,
They're like, I know one guy that quit fantasy football because he
mm,
was never happy. If his Eagles won, then he wasn't happy because his fantasy team struggled. If his fantasy team did well, he wasn't happy because his Eagles lost. And he's just like, I can't do it anymore, right? As a host, it's kind of the same thing where now you're watching things a little differently. So how has it affected how you watch sports, knowing that you're going to talk about it here in the next couple days?
so what? Growing up before I got into the podcast business, I was always like watching games and just like like seeing players and seeing them make highlight plays. I'm like, yeah, like great play, all that stuff. But then there's like, when it comes to watching games, there's other things to watch for other than the highlights, right? There's like
Yeah,
there's certain plays I had to watch, like, oh, that's interesting. That you got to talk about, like, oh, a quarterback had a certain read that they could have made there. Like, for example, okay, I guess, one example real quick. Let's say Russell Wilson threw an interception. Growing up, I'm like, oh dang it, like he threw a pick, like come on, he's bad. But now these days, when it comes to the podcasting stuff, like you have to watch the play over and over again. And you think to yourself, what did he see? Or
yeah,
like what other reads were there that he may have missed? And that's what you have to kind of look into, because like you can't just say, oh, he threw an interception, he sucks. No, there's a little more into it that you got to talk about, because anyone could say that this player threw a pick or this player scored a touchdown or, oh, it was one of the best plays. But what makes it a great play? What made it a bad play? What makes it stand out from everything else? So especially this upcoming season, with of who knows where the Giants may go. I really
yeah,
don't. Oh, okay, I know where we're possibly going, which is probably the bottom of the NFC East. But I digress. Just seeing how these guys perform, especially this is a big year for New York and the head coach Brian Dable, and the quarterback situation. Especially if Russ struggles, may the increased noise for a certain rookie to come off the bench may get louder as the season goes on. So that's why it's important for me this year, especially to really tune into the games a lot more, and get more in depth. Not just watch the highlights, but watch like the all 22,
mm,
or see what other people's perspective are from it. And as I'm watching, just also looking on social media, like what are other people saying about these certain plays, and then seeing their perspective and then watching it on my end and just putting it all together. So, it's not the same as watching it as a kid, of
yeah.
course. Not having to worry about talking about things the next day or the day after, about the games or whatnot. But hey, I enjoy it. I ain't complaining. I love
Yeah.
getting more into fun things. So it may require more work and more watching than the average fan, but I love it. So
Yeah.
I ain't complaining whatsoever.
Well, so I'm married and have kids, and so for me, it's an excuse, right? Like, hey, I got to watch it for the podcast. Like, it's another reason to watch sports for me, and it's a good built-in excuse behind. It doesn't always work,
Yeah.
but I try it at the very
Yeah,
least. Hey, I got a podcast coming up. I got to know what's going on. So
yeah, I gotta study for work, like I gotta watch the Packers play the Bears again and crush them 45-10 for research purposes, so
research.
it works. I love that. I love that.
Now, on your show right now, you get you and Brian. You guys don't do a lot of guests, but I like asking this question. So, if you're going to interview someone on your podcast,
Yes, sir.
All right. So I want to talk about dream scenarios here.
Oh,
And I like originally I had it formed a different way. Hector kind of took it, and I like the way that he took it. So we're going to go one person that's currently alive, and then we're
yeah.
going to do one person all time. Like they could be long off the scene, dead and gone. So if you were going to interview someone, who would be the dream guest? Let's start with living. Someone who's
Okay.
currently around right now. Would it be a Giants person, or would it be totally off the wall music or actors or coaches or whatever? What would it be?
That's tough because man, I wish I could. If I could give two answers for that one, because
Okay.
one of them would be for for podcast purposes, because we are a Giants podcast.
Yeah.
I definitely go Malik Neighbors. I mean, look, he's a guy that we just don't talk about as much, but it's like because we don't have to worry about him because he's just so dang good.
Right.
So to get him on the show, learn about his journey with LSU, and being drafted by the Giants, how that felt out. Like he is the number one guy on New York that's gonna
Yeah.
make this offense go. So why not get him? You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
would love to interview him for sure. But now, for my purposes, I love Malik. I do. But Lonzo Ball is my favorite athlete on my list right now. Yes, is he injured a lot? For sure. But guess what? I'm injured too. So we both could relate. You know what I'm saying? No, but I love him. He was such a great prospect coming out of UCLA
Yeah.
in 2017. And he was just this amazing passer, okay shooter, but just a playmaker guy. And that's kind of the way I used to play when I played recreational basketball for college or just for fun on the park or in the street or in the park on the park or in the streets, I should say. So just I modeled my play style after him, for sure. And he look, I know he's injured, but when he's on the court, he's really good. And I just love
Yeah.
the way he plays and just off the court stuff. Him and his family, as we all know, the Ball family is quite a treat to watch and look into. So he's definitely my personal
Sure.
dream guest for sure. But for podcast purposes, I guess we could say Malik Neighbors, and I'm sure Brian would be happy about that too if we got a giant on here for sure.
All right. So let's talk about all time. Let's talk about someone who's dead. All right.
Ooh,
Someone
dead.
who's
Okay.
who's dead and gone. You could bring
Okay.
him back to life and interview him.
Yeah.
All right. Who would you want to talk to?
We'll stay on the basketball course. I know this may seem
Okay.
like a simple answer, but Kobe Bryant is definitely the
Yeah.
one for me for sure.
Yeah.
Growing up, also, I all these teams that I love these to this day is teams that I first watched in their respective sports. So for football, it was the Giants. But for basketball, it was the Lakers, and I fell in love because of Kobe Bryant. And like I said, as corny as this sounds, the Mamba mentality was such a cool thing to
Yeah.
to witness and see. And he had this fire in him that was just great. And look, he won 5 titles and he did it his own way. He never apologized for nobody. Off the court, he was just this big, nice guy, had a great family and everything. Everyone loved it, but off the court, he was just this killer.
Yeah.
And I just like, if I could, talk to him and just like learn more about the mentality, how it all originated, and all those things. Like, and unfortunately, he did pass away quite young. But like just be able to talk to him and just learn more about him and his mentality and his career as a whole would definitely be something I wish could have done for sure. So
I love that answer because I think as hosts, when we're talking about interviewing someone, we got to think through. We can all ask what was your favorite play and what was your favorite ring and all this kind of stuff. Someone like Kobe with that mind, how do you get that mindset? How do you keep that mindset? How do you pass that mindset on to other people? All that kind of stuff would be awesome questions to get answers to.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, because it's like I don't want to know about okay, we all know about the championships. We all know about the struggles it takes to get there, but it's like I want to know about more in depth about the other things, like the mentality, the stuff off the court, like the preparation, like what makes you different from the someone else, right? And being able to hope, obviously can't these days, but if I could just being able to learn all about that, we'll just kind of get a different perspective from a player's lives and what they go through. Because look, we see what they do on the field or on the court, right? That's a different,
right.
But like off the court, we don't know we can learn more about it, but like not everyone is willing to kind of reveal that information. So especially with Kobe, he was just a different beast. I have a book I read about him, and I saw that he woke up at like 3, 4 a.m. But it's just like, I ain't no morning person. I can't do that. You know, I'm a night owl. And I thrive in the early. I'm still up in my bed, doom scrolling through TikToks and stuff. You know, while he's at 3 or 4 in the morning. So just being able to just hope, I wish I could have learned, I should say,
Yeah.
just as discipline and how
Yeah.
he, became what he was. I
For
wish.
sure, man. So being a Kobe fan, I'm curious. The argument is always LeBron or MJ, and the answer is MJ. I don't care what anybody says. But being a Kobe fan, do you have the Kobe over LeBron? I'm curious.
I wish I could say. Well, no, I don't. I
Okay.
think my top three would be Bron, MJ, Kobe for sure. No, I
Okay.
have no doubt about it. Bron is just a different beast. Still playing to this day. All-time points leader. Has made it to multiple finals. Kobe, I get it. He's got 5 rings, but one of my good friends told me about this. Rings doesn't mean everything in the world,
Sure.
right? And yes, he won 5 championships and all those things, but I don't know. LeBron does have, in terms of like statistical categories and stuff, like I'm a numbers guy, and statistically, LeBron does have the advantage, and MJ as well over Kobe. And Kobe gets clowned a lot for shooting through double teams and triple teams a lot, and that has affected his field goal percentage and shot attempts if you look it up online. So,
Yeah.
I think just that what the positives that came with his career stats did also come with negatives as well. And I think those negatives kind of take him out of the running for the GOAT conversation. But
Yeah.
he's still a top 3 player, but I definitely will have Bron over MJ. I'm interested to see why you have MJ. I know, I'm sure people are asking like, well, why do you have MJ over LeBron? Like, come on, Vince, you don't know ball. But I'm actually interested real quick as why MJ is over LeBron. Just real quick, if you don't mind.
I go back to mindset ultimately on that. I think that MJ was that killer also, like Kobe. Yeah. LeBron, he has moments of that.
Yes.
But it's usually after someone just pisses him off.
True.
And I always say, if you just don't make LeBron mad, you'll be fine. Yeah. Right. But MJ and Kobe came into the game mad. Like they're mad from get-go. And so for me, MJ, and again, I'm older than you, so I saw MJ, at peak, and all that kind of stuff too. But for me, Michael was, you just can't beat him. The mindset that he had. You go back and look at those dream team stuff where they're in that practice, and Magic and Larry are like, yeah, no, he's definitely the guy now. Like he's taking our spot over. I don't know that anyone's ever done that with LeBron. Like LeBron he's a great player, one of the greatest.
Yes.
His career is incredible. Off the court, I respect him as a father. I told my kids, don't ever be like LeBron, because I hate the way he treats his coaches. I don't like, his attitude on the court, all that kind of stuff.
Good point about that attitude on the court too. But I despise every time I watch a game, and adding Luka just makes it low key work. Okay, but before any Lakers fans comes out, I love Luka Doncic. I'm so glad he's on the Lakers. I was completely shocked when we traded for him. But Vince, every time I watch the Lakers, this is why I don't like watching the Lakers no more sometimes. Well, I'm going to watch them a lot because we have Luka and LeBron now, but I digress. It's like every time down on the court, they drive into the paint, they shoot a layup, and there's no whistle blown. And all I see is Luka or LeBron turn to the ref and like, where's the foul? I'm just like, get your down on the other side of the court. Freaking Anthony Edwards is going to dunk the ball, and you're over here dunking the ref. Go back there. And it just frustrates me. And that's like the one thing about LeBron is I don't like. And I get it. Yeah. Sometimes refs are blind. We all know that. And sometimes fouls aren't going to be called. But please, I need you on the other side of the court, because it is a 5-on-4 if you're stuck on the other side of the court talking to the ref. Just go down and then complain later. Don't complain all the dang time, man. Yeah. I love you. I do. I have to, because you're a Laker. I have to. But please, enough with the foul, like begging and stuff. I hate it. And that's like the only thing I have against LeBron, but he is still the GOAT in my opinion. But that's my little rant on the Lakers for once. Yeah. So
but that's my argument against him. It's a mentality thing. It's not a talent thing. He's incredibly talented. Now, I do say, you'd like to think that anyone that was gifted by God that size.
Yeah.
There are natural. I'm not saying he has not worked. He has worked hard. He has kept his body in shape. He has done well as he aged, all that kind of stuff. But there is some natural gifts there that, size, especially, you can't change that as far as height goes. You can change weight and all that, and he has. To me, MJ, what he did in the era that he did it, with the mindset that he did it, with not losing a championship, although he didn't go to as many as LeBron has, and he did have, Pippen, and I'm kind of a Pippen hater personally, which is always not sat well with a lot of people, but he was really, really good still. He was that Wade. He was that, whoever you want to put beside LeBron, because he's always had somebody beside him outside
Always
of his
had somebody.
first Cleveland stint.
Yes.
But and once he left Cleveland the first time is when I really lost a lot of juice for LeBron. So nonetheless, but
fair enough.
There you go.
Fair enough.
All right, let's hit some quick thoughts here. And let's start with this: your go-to snack or drink while you're watching the Giants play. I mean, we are talking a week from, we're recording this on a Thursday. It won't air till Sunday, but a week from today, we've got NFL kickoff. All right. So what's the go-to snack weekly that you're going to grab and chomp on while you're watching some Giants losing 32-17?
No, that's actually a great point. Because you know what? Either way, so I love hot Cheetos. I do.
Okay.
So here's the thing. I'm going to be hurt either way. Because if we win, I'm going to eat too many hot Cheetos to the point where my stomach hurts and I'll be hurting it. If we lose, that's going to be my snack still. So not only will I be hurting internally with my stomach, I'm going to be depressed and sad in my mind. So either way, I'm hurting myself. But in all seriousness, I love hot Cheetos. I do. They're my favorite snack for sure. I love chips. I do. I love them to death. But hot Cheetos is my favorite for sure. More specifically the lemon ones. I sound like a fat person at this point. I need to stop before I get too much into it. But no, hot Cheetos is my go-to for sure. I love me a soda. I have been trying to cut down on it though. I got to cut down on sodas, especially with my therapy. I got to eat healthy stuff now. So my go-to drink is probably hot Cheetos. So hot Cheetos is my snack, and then I would go to have some on the side to drink with it because it's gonna get spicy, of course. Definitely body armor. I love body armor. I do. Yeah. It's better than Gatorade. I tell you that much right now.
Sure. I like it. I like it a lot. All right. If your podcast had a mascot, the 3rd and 10 podcast, if it had a mascot, what would your mascot be?
Dang, that's a good one. That's a good question. Mascot, huh? What would we be? You
cheer for teams that don't really have good mascots, by the way. Giants don't have a great mascot. Lakers don't have a great mascot. Nope. I like the elephant, but the reality is most people today don't even associate an elephant with the A's.
Yeah, it's like what's the athletics mascot? It's Stumper. Who's Stomper? Who's Stomper? An elephant. What does this elephant have to do with the A's? I don't know.
Let me ask you this: while you're thinking about your mascot, why is it that the elephant is the random mascot for teams? Go to Alabama.
True. The Crimson. What is an elephant? What does an elephant have to do with Alabama? Because I can guarantee you will not find an elephant in that state. Now, unless they can prove me wrong, I would love to know. But I can off the top of my head, there's no elephants in Alabama unless they're in a zoo. But I digress.
Non-captivity elephants. There's none of those in Alabama.
Yeah, there's none of them roaming the wild. Like all that stuff is in, other continents, in Africa to be exact. Like, come on, or in Asia. But I think for a mascot, I don't know what Brian. I'm not sure if he likes cats, but I love cats. I love them to death. So some sort of cat, man. Maybe like a panther or no, I won't. Well, yeah, screw it. A Black Panther of sort. Oh, I love the Black Panther. My favorite superhero. Oh my God, Black Panther. That'd be. It's a form of a cat. I love cats, and Marvel superhero. He's my favorite. So I'll go with the Black Panther cat for sure.
I like it. Yeah, it's. I was thinking the Jolly Blue Giant. There is no such thing, but Jolly Blue Giant because of the Giants, and he's normally green, but Giants fan, so I thought maybe blue.
I got you.
But I like Black Panther. I think that's a good one.
Yeah,
on the fandom.
something different, something different. Something
Yeah,
it don't gotta be Giants related. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
well, I will say the Jolly Blue Giant does seem like a good idea because I am pretty well. Okay, look, I'm gonna be straight up. I may be jolly and positive right now, but I promise you, and Jared knows already from the corner booth. He knows that if we lose to the Commanders on Sunday, and the show is that, so the corner booth is the day after on Monday.
Uh-huh.
He knows I'm not going to be a happy camper. I told him
Yeah.
already. I was like, hey, if we go 5-12, that means you're going to have 12 weeks of me being depressed and sad. So he better watch out. So I'm just saying, I may be positive and jolly. So the Jolly Blue mascot is would be a great mascot choice if we were going to be good for the next 5-10. We're not going to be good this year. So it's like, that may not be the best mascot for this.
Yeah.
A Black Panther makes sense. So that way it could take the anger out on something or
I like
on
it.
somebody.
I just thought of a few. Just I hadn't thought about this beforehand, but now they're coming to me. All right. So, Mr. Rogers. Uh,
Mm.
okay. So
Yes.
you got Malik Neighbors on your team. So what about like almost like a Mr. Rogers type figurine, wearing like a red sweater or a
Oh,
blue sweater or something like that,
that would
coming
be
in?
nice.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think it's the name of one of my no, I changed the name of my because my name of my fantasy team for one of my leagues I'm in it was originally Won't You Be My Neighbors.
Uh-huh.
I know it's not original. I get it. People have already named it already, but I wanted to take it. But then I ended up not drafting Malik Neighbors, so I had to change the name, unfortunately,
Yeah.
because someone else took him. Son of a gun. So
My
it's cool.
last one is something to do with a dart, a guy throwing a dart or
Ah,
something like that, because you got Jackson Dart now. So there you
yes.
go. Or maybe just an actual dart. I don't know.
That'd be
There you
cool.
go.
I like that. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Just
I love Jackson Dart now. I do. So my perspective has changed from April to now
yeah.
almost September. So
Well, it really has to as a fan, right? Like if you can't, it's not, you're not going to be able to change it. So
true.
now, granted, there's a better chance of the Giants getting Shador Sanders now than it is of them not having Jackson Dart as their quarterback. But because he may, be available next
True.
offseason or something like that. But
True.
you go the old, what was it, RG3 and Kirk,
Your
when they
cousins.
get drafted in the same year, Kirk Cousins. And so, that didn't happen for you guys. I thought it might, honestly, but seems like Dayball really likes Jackson Dart, thinks he can save his job. So
If he loves him, I love him.
there you go.
And if he plays well in the preseason, which he did, I didn't expect to see that great of a play from Dart, but I
Yeah.
love him even more now. So I'm a late Dart bandwagoner guy. Well, I have to, like you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna be like, oh, I hope he sucks. Like, no, what
Right.
kind of Giants fan are you? So I have to root for him, but I'm confident in him. I'm super excited to see him play. And start in a regular season game when that time comes. May come sooner rather than later, depending on how things
Sure.
go. But we'll see. So, but definitely a Dart mascot. A guy dressed up in a Dart would definitely be something to consider for sure.
All right. If you could instantly gain one new skill
Mm.
to improve your podcast, so specifically to improve your show, what would that skill be?
Oh, that's great. Um, honestly, just getting guests. I mean,
Yeah.
you mentioned at the beginning, like
Yeah.
I'm not enough. We're not big on guests and stuff, and we're working on it. I think we had we had a guest recently. Our boys from the ATL show based
Yeah.
off in Atlanta, Georgia. I love those guys, but like we just don't get guests, and I don't know why. I think me and Brian, we just never had that conversation of just getting guests on the show.
Yeah.
And for me, and that's something that's like, okay, it's great. Like I'm sure from a viewer's perspective, I think to myself, like, okay, it's great. I see Nate and I see Brian. Are they gonna bring anyone else on? It's like, dang, are they gonna ever spice things up? So for me, it's definitely working on that for sure. And I think
Yeah.
just having the kind of that openness and just not having that fear of being rejected or not being seen by other people in terms of like asking them to hop on the show. I
Yeah.
think that's something just that just have that confidence in yourself. Like, hey, there are people who may be willing to be on your show. All you gotta do is just ask, like that, and that just factors into into life in general. Like, if you
Yeah.
want something, just ask.
Right.
My mom back in when I was a kid, whether it's like something, if I needed like $5, and I'm sorry, mom, and she knows, I'm not sure she knows about this, but I did steal like $5 one time from her wallet because I wanted a Propel water drink
Yeah,
at school. So I'm sorry, mom. I love you. Sorry, I didn't mean to reveal that now, but it's too late. I was like 10 or 11. But like she always told me, like, hey, if you want something, just ask and we'll try to get it for you. No guarantees, but we'll
yeah,
try. And I
yeah,
and think that so that relates to life, but also podcasting too. Like if you want a guest on, just ask. And I think that's something I need to work on and something a skill that I wish I had, which is just having that confidence just to hit up random people or people that I want to interview and be like, hey, can we have you on, and just go from there. So
yeah.
yeah.
Very good. Let's see. Your guilty pleasure show or song that you're into.
Dang, that's great. So I might be exposed. So for the show, I'll answer both for you. TV
Okay.
shows, Family Guy. Love Family Guy. I cannot tell you the number of times that so even back when I used to work at the at a restaurant called The Habit, I would come home 1 a.m. in the morning. My parents would wait for me, make sure I would get home safe, and then go to sleep. So after I would shower, I would set up my laptop and just watch Family Guy for like an hour or two. I love Family Guy. Even to this day, if I'm making if I'm typing up notes or as I'm heading to sleep, Family Guy is always in the background. I don't care what episode it is. It could be funny moments, it could be full episodes, it could be anything. I love that show to death. Will always love it. Couldn't watch it as a kid, got to as an adult because my parents were just very protective on what we watched.
Yeah.
So that's my guilty pleasure show. Now, for music, I get it. So you guys are probably thinking, oh, you probably listen to Drake or Kendrick. No, I'm actually, and it may make sense because how bubbly I am. I love Sabrina Carpenter. I love her. I do. She is okay. She's super pretty. I love that about her. But her music, I don't know. It speaks to me. Like when I'm working, like because I work remotely, Vince. So I'm working at my job or working for the podcast, like typing up notes and stuff. Sabrina Carpenter is like my number one go-to artist. I don't know what it is, but her albums are just outstanding. Her music's great. So yeah, that's my guilty pleasure for sure. Not a lot of people know about it. Well, now people do, I'm sure.
Now they
But
do.
that's now they do. So it ain't everyone knows now. But I'm proud of it. I will stand by her. I will stand by her and her music. She's my number one artist at this point in time, and I am proud of it. So and her new album I think by the time this comes out, it already came out
Okay.
already. But I'm excited for sure for her new music, and I love it. It pumps me up, Vince. It gets me
There you go.
motivated. So
Okay. Hey, to each his own,
to
right? To
each
each his
his
own.
own, right? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What about podcasts? And
Ooh.
so maybe even non-sports podcasts. You got stuff you listen to that you like that I mean, it can't be sports, I guess, but something that you listen to that you go, it's my go-to. I'm gonna turn on this podcast and something you kind of just
Oh,
enjoy while you're driving or just around or whatever.
that's a great one because I literally only listen to sports. No, okay. There's this
Okay.
one humor podcast. I forgot what it was. Um, oh, it was like a we listen and we don't judge type of podcast where like
Hmm.
people bring up like random scenarios or random questions and like the hosts react to it and give their opinion on it. I forgot what it's called, but it was dang it! If I can come up with the name, I'll talk about it with you off air if I can find it. But that was like it's like a humorous podcast. They talk about random scenarios of people who chime in about stuff and they ask for opinions on it. I listen to that on the side for fun. Uh, but I'm a big sports podcast guy. I
All
recently
right.
got into Joe Klatt and his college football show for
Yep.
obvious purposes because college
Yeah.
football is literally starting right now.
Yep.
This week as we are doing this. Season one. Lonzo has a podcast with his brother, and a couple of his friends that I listen to as well. What's another I listen to? I think that's kind of. Oh, and then of course, the shows on the network, and I don't just say that just to say that. Like I truly listen. I love watching your content events with the fantasy football content, the fantasy baseball content, which for research purposes, just in
That's
case
right.
there's players that y'all mentioned, and I kind of want to steal them before y'all get you guys get to them. I've obviously watch and listen to the corner booth for clips, but also just for the entertainment and whatnot. I love the Silent Summit. Shout out to those boys. I love their work as well. Time TBS is a great one I listen to as well too, with Dan. But just whether it's podcasts on the network or other not the Lonzo podcast or that humor podcast I talked about as well. I listen to a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
They don't get boring to me. I love hearing different people's perspectives and different topics because why not? It's going to
Right.
help me. Like it's only going to help me if I talk about certain things and there's a point that you bring up, Vince. I could bring it up on my show and be like, I was listening to Vince's show and blah blah blah, and then I bring
Yeah.
up certain things that you say. So
Yeah.
it's all fun. It's fun for sure to get different people's perspective on different shows.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about. I got two more things for you. So
Sure.
let's talk about favorite teams. We mentioned, of course, the Giants. Obviously, you talked about the Lakers a little bit as well. Baseball, you got a dual fandom in baseball,
Yes, sir.
and we've talked about this before, but obviously not on this podcast. So you're the only, I believe, the only A's fan I know. I'm trying to think through this real quick, but I'm not aware of any other A's fans. And
Isn't
I
that
will say
sad or
this.
what?
It is. It is. But I will say this. I love the A's uniforms.
Me too. Oh yeah.
I love their spring training uniforms. I love the green. I love the yellow. Obviously, I'm a Packer fan, but it's a different green. I love the A's greens. I love the yellows. I think they're awesome,
Yeah,
and they got some really fun players right now. If they'll
they
hang on
do.
to them in this move to Vegas eventually, they got a lot of potential on that team too. But you're also a Phillies fan too. And you talked about early in the show about, hey, the teams I watched growing up or the teams that I cheer for, whatever it may be. Talk to me a little bit about this dual fanship in baseball with the
Yeah,
A's
of
and the
course.
Phillies.
Yeah. So the Phillies, yeah, they're the first team I watched growing up. I love their colors. They're blue and red, so similar to the Giants. Blue and red
Mm,
as well. Well, no, Phillies are red and white, but blue was kind of the one their
sure.
secondary color. So
Yeah.
I digress. So they were a team I loved growing up. I loved watching guys like Cole Hamels, Ryan Howard, Chase Utley, Jimmy Rollins. Oh, Jimmy Rollins is an amazing switch hitter. My goodness. I digress. So they were my first team growing up. I love them. Even throughout their tough years, throughout the middle of the 2010s, they were struggling, but I still watched them. I still loved watching them. Whenever I could. But the A's are an interesting story. So one of my good friends, his name is Juan Ramos. Shout out to him, love him. He actually took me to my first baseball game ever, which was a Whites. This is sad. It was a White Sox A's game. We were sitting in the 314 section, which was in left field. So it was my first game ever. I forgot the pitching matchup of that game, which is actually sad too. But that's how bad the A's were. I don't remember the pitching matchup. But that was my first game. I love the atmosphere of fans. I know like the fans, not a lot of fans were there. But like I love the atmosphere. I love the colors of the A's, like you mentioned. That's one of the first things I fell in love with too. And
Mm,
just like, look, even though the owner is still terrible, the players they still fight, they still play.
yeah.
And just like I love watching them, and I would go to multiple games in the future. I think one game I remember like not fully, but the key moments was the opening day of 2023. Angels, A's, Otani on the mound. We had Kyle Muller on the mound as to face him. Random pitching matchup. I know. Otani dominated for I think it was 6 innings. It was 1-0 Angels, and then the A's scored 2 runs in the bottom of the eighth.
Nice.
Tony Kemp had the game winning run. And then we ended up winning 2-1 that night. Domingo Acevedo with the save, by the way. Shout out to him.
Yeah.
And it was great. I love the opening day game. Yeah, I love going. I just love going to A's games at the Coliseum.
Yeah.
It was so much fun to see all these passionate fans, coming together and just watch this team who look, they were never at the time that I went to go see them, they were never going to contend, in the
Right.
division or in the American League as a whole. But still, they had young guys worth watching. Rooker is an example, as we all know as well. So the A's fandom it came on late in my
Sure.
life. But hey, look, at least I didn't pick. I wasn't like, okay, I'm a Phillies fan, but I'm also like a Dodgers fan. Like, come
Right.
on.
Right.
But I will say I'm like a 0.5% Dodgers fan. Only
Uh-huh.
because I went to Dodger Stadium in June of this year to go. It was a Giants Dodgers game, and the Dodgers kicked the Giants. I loved it. I loved it. Otani hit 2 dingers because I was sitting in right field, and he hit it twice to our side. And I was like, it was so cool because I never seen a home run hit to left field.
Yeah.
When I was at the A's game for good reason because the A's were.
Yeah.
But because like when Otani hit it, it was a leadoff home. He was the first batter of the bottom of the first inning, and he hit it. And I'm just like, wait, is that ball coming to us? And it was coming closer and closer. I was like, oh wait, is it gonna be a homer? And the fielders were turning their head. I was like, oh my god, he hit it to our side. So I was like, okay, so the Dodgers and my best friend Josh, he's a big Dodgers fan. So I do it. I kind of root for them because of him, but and also because I went to a game and I love the atmosphere at Dodger Stadium too. So who knows, man? Maybe if I go to a Brewers game, I could be a 0.2% Brewers fan. And I just have to get myself out there, go on the slide. Maybe who knows?
Yeah. All right. Last question for you is this. We're gonna go back to the Giants on this one.
Yes, sir.
All right. Mount Rushmore of Giants, all-time top 4 Giants. It doesn't have to be true to form of they are truly the best 4. You can take this however you want to take it, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Because Brent did not go all-time greatest and when I did the Mount Rushmore with him. So all-time greatest, your 4 Mount Rushmore New York Giants. Who you going with?
Okay. Dang. Eli, no doubt about it.
Okay.
First quarterback I loved growing up. Number 10. Took down Tom Brady twice.
Yeah.
And we saved the NFL universe as a whole at the time. Let's see. Victor Cruz. God, he's so great. Love him. This is my top 4. If it was all-time top 4, it'd be a different story. I would go Phil Simms, Lawrence Taylor, all that stuff. But it's my top 4. So y'all Giants fans, chill. Let's see. So Manning, Cruz. Ooh. I would go Michael Strahan. He was a beast on defense. I mean, he still had Did TJ Watt break the sack record, or did he? No, he tied it, right? TJ.
I think so.
Michael Strahan. Okay, I think he tied it. Yeah. So he still has the record technically. So Strahan, he was dominant back in the day as well when I watched him. Last one, huh? You know what? I'm gonna go another receiver, Odell Beckham Jr. That he was just so electric coming out of LSU. A guy that missed the first 4 games of the year, his rookie year. I'm just like, he's just another receiver. And then he would make plays, and they had that one-handed catch against the Cowboys. And I'm just like, he was so electric, Vince. I loved watching him play. Too bad he didn't win a Super Bowl with us, but I'm glad he won with the Rams. But he will always be remembered for his time as a Giant. I will always remember, just love watching them play and bragging to my friends like, we had the best receiver in the NFL and you don't. So Odell is definitely on my Mount Rushmore for sure in terms of just honestly just all-time Giants players for me.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Yes,
I want to know. Well, I already know. I want you to tell everybody else, because some people who are watching this are people who already watch your program. They just want to learn more about Nate. Other people are watching because, well, we got it out here and they got something to watch, and they're learning more about Belly Up's personalities and things like that too. So tell everybody about where, when, how to watch your show, and even follow you individually as well.
Yes, sir. So me and Brian, our 3rd and 10 podcast is live every Tuesdays and Thursdays. So it's on YouTube at 6 p.m. Eastern time, Tuesdays and Thursdays, consistently, I promise. We also have all clips from the shows posted on our social media. So you can follow us at 3rd and 10 podcast on TikTok. That's the main platform. And then also 3rd and 10, we're at 3rd and 10 pod on Instagram and Twitter as well. And yeah, you can follow me as well at Nathan_124 on Instagram and the Twitter as well. In case I go off on any Giants rants or tangents throughout the year, that's where you can find my tweets. I promise myself I'll keep it to a minimum, but I swear if they piss me off, it's going to be a lot of tangents in that on social media that will be released. So you can check us out there. And then also part of the Corner Booth podcast. Shout out to the boys, Jared, Matt, as I am part of their team as well. We can be found on Mondays and Thursdays live on social media on their social media at the Corner Booth Pod. Live episodes released on Tuesdays. No, episodes posted on YouTube on Tuesdays and Thursdays as well at 3 p.m. Eastern, I should say. So, yes,
Very nice. Very nice. Well, Nathan, like I said, it's been a lot of fun. We've had 2 other episodes of this Belly Up Sports Mic Check. If you've missed them, this is the first one that you've tuned into. They're all available on the Belly Up Sports YouTube channel. You can go back and find them. We talked with Hector Flores from the Insert Name FC podcast and with Brent Radlinsky from the 1420 Sports Bar podcast as well, our Canadian friend up north over there. So we've actually, now that I think about it, we've hit Hector down in Texas, Nate out in California, Brent up in Canada. I got to get an East Coaster on here at some point.
I know, huh? Shoot, yeah, you guys, come on now. Hey, there's plenty of people on the East Coast. You know, I think I'm like one of maybe 2 West Coast guys on Belly Up on Belly Network. So, time to go back east, Vince.
That's right.
Back to that territory.
Nate, I appreciate you, my friend. You're doing great work on the Belly Up Sports Network, on the 3rd and 10 podcast, Corner Booth, and helping out with all kinds of stuff around the network as well. So we appreciate you. It's been a blast. Everyone, I sure hope you've enjoyed tuning in. This has been Mike Check with the one and only Nathan Nguyen. We'll see you again next week with an all-new guest, and we'll see who that is on Sunday. Have a great day.